Yes, everybody, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe. Summer's over, it seems. I was sweating my balls off the last 2 days, but today, pleasant weather. The heat wave is over. Anyway, it's probably going to rain next week. Anyway, Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. It's Hammers Headlines in association with our KUMB.com boys. 3 stories. Lunchtime today, we did the Rusty Rumour Roundup. Half a dozen players, up to 141 players we've been linked with so far, which is mental. And there's no doubt going to be linked to another 20, 30 more, I'd say at least. And then this morning, let's talk about the Shack Attack. Shaquille O'Neal, the most random story, not April Fool's, I promise you, but Shaquille O'Neal is apparently looking to invest in West Ham. As I said, I could just imagine the pictures when they're in the director's box of Shaquille and David Sullivan down here. Old Canning Town Len would have a field day with that cartoon imagery, I'm sure. But anyway, let's crack on like Donkey Kong. We've got 3 stories, as I said, 1 transfer rumour in and 2 potential rumours out. We believe that the Ben Johnson confirmation should be today, if it hasn't been already, or tomorrow, maybe. But could we be expecting a couple more exits? Well, apparently it's a lot of players. Naya Faged. Apparently Zuma is being offered out but doesn't want to go. Flynn Downs, Southampton, Danny Ings. Honestly, I might bring my boots. Might get a game by the sounds of it. And the next one could be Michail Antonio. Someone who's proverbially been on the exit, and if you've listened to some of he did a podcast with Jake Humphries, the high performance one. We spoke very clear, very sort of candidly about how he's very close to leaving. I think it was last summer, or was it summer before last? I remember. Now, it's quite interesting. We know that Julien likes Antonio because he tried to buy him for Wolves last summer, and that was one of the straw that broke the camel's back. Him and Aaron Cresswell, they couldn't afford them, and he left. But apparently, Nottingham Forest are watching the availability of Michail Antonio with a view to a romantic reunion for the former Reds player. That's according to The Sun, who said the 34-year-old is expected to leave the Hammers this summer after 9 seasons with a Premier League outfit. However, the Hammers under new management this summer, or new head coaching, apparently, the report says Antonio will be surplus to requirements. They say the 34-year-old believes he can play for another couple of seasons at the top level, and despite interest from overseas, he would prefer to stay in the Premier League as long as the right opportunity emerges. He missed 3 months last season due to injury and ended up with 7 goals in 32 appearances. He's got a total of 67 in 254. Obviously, he's our all-time Premier League goal scorer of all time. The story also claims that there's 2 MLS clubs keen on the Jamaican international who scored Jamaica's first goal in the Copa America yesterday, I believe. Well, that was a bit of it wasn't a great goal, but he scored a goal. And apparently RB Leipzig are also meant to be heading up a line of clubs in Germany, as well as Saudi Arabia looking at him. Forest and apparently Fulham are named as 2 Premier League teams that are interested. Obviously, Antonio, we bought him from Nottingham Forest. As a right back, he scored 14 goals and played in every championship match for the club, for Nottingham Forest rather, in the 14-15 season. And they see him as a potential source of goals for a club that was among the lowest goal scorers last season, of only Burnley, Everton and Sheffield United scoring less. We know Antonio has 1 year left in his contract, and we do have the option to extend it into 2026. Obviously, he signed a new 1-year extension last year, I think, if I remember correctly. He's 34. We are talking about making our squad younger, having just signed Wes Frodgingham, 30-something-year-old goalkeeper, and get rid of someone like Nathan Trott and Joseph Anang and Ben Johnson. But and I think genuinely Antonio could play that sort of supporting role off the bench for a good season, 2 seasons at West Ham. If he came on for 30 minutes, in the same way that how Wolves would utilise Adama Traore, for example. There is potentially a swap deal being mooted with Teo Awani, who is someone I've always thought we should have got when he was available from Hertha Berlin before he went to Nottingham Forest last summer. Was it summer before? I can't remember. And that could be on the cards, particularly with PSR. And we know that there's a lot of, Holly spoke about the loophole yesterday amongst sort of Everton, Villa and Chelsea seem to be doing lots of deals with each other. It could be one which we could do. And I think going forward, I think we're going to see more of these swap deals, more money plus player, deals, because in terms of balancing the books. But let's see. I wouldn't mind Teo Awani coming to West Ham, actually. I think he's a really good player, and I think with the right service under him, I think he'd do really well. But whether Forest would swap that, I don't know. Elsewhere, another player we could be losing after their tournament. Obviously, what's his name? Obviously, Antonio's at Copa America. Obviously, Vlad was in the was in the Euro 2024s until obviously. Did you see yesterday? That was mental. That was absolutely mental. How this all just kicked off, wasn't it? Did someone say it's a card record was broken yesterday? Crazy. 2 sendings off for the Czech Republic. Obviously, they needed to win yesterday to avoid being eliminated. They lost 2-1. Tommy Souček scored. And there was how many yellow cards? 18 cards shown in and after the game. A record for a European Championship match. Now, obviously, with their exit, Vladimir's future is in discussion. Now, according to the Turkish media Aspor, Galatasaray want to sign Coufal this summer, and they are keen to prize him away from the London Stadium now that their Euros have finished. Obviously, Turkey is still in there, but in terms of Galatasaray, Coufal, we know he's under contract with West Ham until the summer 2025. He signed. We activated a 1-year extension to his contract, and apparently he was not happy with just a 1-year extension, particularly when you saw the likes of his compatriot Thomas Souček. He got a longer extension. Jared Bowen got a 7-year deal, and he wanted more. Apparently, the club did offer him have offered him a 2-year deal since. I don't know that's been accepted. I don't know, but apparently the club has said to been keen to recoup the fee for the 31-year-old. Again, it's this sort of like. With Ben Johnson going, we've got one recognised right back, obviously, at the morning show, the Russia Human Roundup. We spoke about people like Aaron Wan-Bissaka would be linked to him, but still it makes us quite light in the right backs, unless there's a desire to maybe bring in someone from the academy. As I said, someone like Julie Robinson, I think would do a fantastic job. I really like him as a player, and I think he'd do fantastic as West Ham as backup, maybe, potentially. We've been linked to a lot of other players as well, and I think fullback is an area, probably 1 or 2 right backs. I'd say maybe 1 left back potentially if we've got the money to send it. Now, again, Vladimir's 31, Antonio's 34. Even if we got Carl Walker-Peters, he's 27. Wan-Bissaka's probably about 25, isn't he? So again, reduces the squad, age down, and gets you a more youthful player. We shall wait and see. I think it'd be a bit of a shock if he left this summer just because of the lack of cover. And we have been linked with lots of right backs, as I said. We've been linked with the likes of Aaron Wan-Bissaka. We were linked with the Saudi Arabian international right back, Saud Abuhamadi. So that could be a cheap option. You could probably flip him for roughly the same money, bring in a younger model, so to speak. But yeah, it's an interesting one. The links with Galatasaray haven't gone away, and clearly he's on their radar. So we'll see. That's all we can say. We can see. And lastly, another link of a player we've been linked to before, actually, but it's sort of what's the word? Gathered a bit more pace recently. Apparently, we're interested, and we re-entered into looking at the highly rated Lyon forward Lyon'S Cherki, and we face stiff competition from Paris Saint-Germain. The 20-year-old is considered one of the brightest young talents in Ligue 1, a pool which we know Tim Steiner is very much interested in, having been linked to the likes of Jonathan David and various others in the Ligue 1. And dazzling displays this season from an underperforming Lyon side to start with, but then towards the end, one of the informed sides in the league. And according to the reports, West Ham highly appreciate his profile. Haven't yet tabled a formal offer. He was actually ousted, ironically, from the Lyon team by Saïd Benrahma, who was obviously on loan. They have an option to buy him. Maybe it could be some deal. We don't know. He's obviously... Cherki has been a player which has been coveted as a youngster. Hasn't quite risen to the cream hasn't risen to the top just yet with him. And that's the type of player that I know Tim likes. Sort of second chances away from a side. Maybe he hit the ground running quite a lot from a young age and had high hopes, but hasn't really hit the levels they think he should have hit. So maybe a move might help him. Paris Saint-Germain are currently at the forefront. They've submitted a bid which is apparently well short of Lyon's evaluation. They're hoping to leverage the fact of his contract situation as he enters his final year of contract this summer to get a bargain price. Again, it's the profile of the types of players we're trying to buy. People who are entering the final year of the contract, you could get them for 50%, 30% of what their market value is. And obviously, their reluctance to take a pay cut in Lyon's proposal might open the door for West Ham. And we know we're trying to develop a more youthful side. I mean, Cherki's 20. We've been linked to sort of similar types of players. You've been Mazza as well from Hertha Berlin. These sort of younger proverbial talents who you're buying on potential rather than the finished article, a bit like Luis Guilherme. So an exciting player. He's a player, who would get you off your seat, that's for sure. But obviously we face an uphill battle for Paris Saint-Germain, although Paris Saint-Germain apparently are looking to buy I can't pronounce the Georgian lads, the one who scored the goal from Napoli. Apparently they're looking to buy him, so surely he would occupy a similar role, so I don't think that would work. So he would go, Cherki would go from one side where he's on the bench to another side is on the bench. I don't think that would really work. Anyway, keep an eye on thesemybrand.com for any latest news, reviews, and opiniones. And I'll see you very, very soon. Take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith,